Hello, my name is Philine Sonny. I have just released my song Gatekeeper the other week, and today I'm making sage pasta. We're gonna make the pasta ourselves while I talk about my new song and about the concept and about my album and all the thoughts that I have about this. Yeah, the album comes out next year, April 3rd. It's called Virgin Lake, and the whole vibe for me is very crafty, very yeah, we'll talk about that later, what it means to me. We're gonna make pasta. That's why I'm gonna show you now what we need for this. If you wanna try and make this at home, it's very easy. We're gonna need this this flour. It's called 00 flour, or whatever you call it. I put the recipe. I'll put it here now. You need salt, an egg, olive oil, a fork, a scale, a rolling pin, and that's it basically. So first we are gonna start with the dry ingredients. Let me turn this around for me. I'm gonna start with the dry ingredients. I'm gonna make 2 servings today, so we need 2 eggs for this. The recipe that I just gave you is for 1 serving, but you can just scale it up and do however much you want to make. So yeah, we're gonna start with the dry ingredients. Try to mix the flour and the salt first, and then we're gonna add the eggs and all the rest. We're gonna need 100 grams of flour for 1 serving, so I'm gonna do 200. The album, I've basically sectioned it into 4 phases. It's the inspiration for that, if you can call it inspiration, but the idea for that came from reading one of my favorite books. It's called, oh no, fuck, the fucking scale, the battery died, fuck, I gotta start again. The inspiration came from reading this book that I really love, and the story was kind of, you could also like kind of section the whole story into 4 phases, so that's what I did for the album. And I guess you could break it down into the first phase being anger, which I mean, it sounds very, very basic, coming of agey, and in a way it is, but for me it kind of course, like, there's personal stuff behind it. I'm gonna try not to go into that too deep, because yeah, there's people involved. I probably won't appreciate me talking about it on the internet. Oh, we're gonna need that for later, for when we roll it out, so just put this aside. But yeah, before I started making the album, I felt quite sad. I felt very, very small, very stupid, and I've been going to therapy for a couple of years now, well, 3 years. I've talked about this a lot in therapy. I think it's a very common thing to feel very, like when stuff has been going wrong for a very long time, when you've been a kid, when stuff happened, you start feeling very, very small, very helpless, because like all of what's been happening to you, like as a kid, you don't really know. Yeah, you can't really tell what's wrong, or when stuff's happening to you, you kind of to survive you need to go along. Yeah, you kind of start morphing around these very, very hurtful behaviors and kind of accept it, whatever. So yeah, you start feeling very helpless, because it's just the way that it is. It's kind of yeah, I guess that was in a way how I felt. And then when I started therapy, we started talking about all the stuff that's happened, and my therapist kept asking me, like, how do you feel about this? And I kept saying, I'm sad. I'm feeling sad about this. And she kept asking me if I feel angry too. And because she asked me, I went like, oh yeah. But it was like, I didn't really feel very angry. And yeah, so we worked on that for quite a long time. Starting to feel angry about stuff that's been going wrong, and starting to feel angry about people treating you badly, and that really helped with moving forward, because this album for me kind of means, or was a companion for me while trying to move on, because I felt like I was stuck in circles, like the same arguments all over again every time, and I every time was angry and sad, and it wasn't helpful at all. So we started talking about anger, because all of this, by the way, is true for me. It's not, if it's not for you, then it's also good. Just talking about stuff that's worked for me. So once I felt anger, once I started feeling angry, kind of helped getting out of this freeze mode, because apparently anger, or people say anger is the part that recognizes when stuff is wrong and when stuff is not okay. So it was very important. At first, I'm going to talk about all of the stuff that came after anger in a bit. It's not going to fit in this video. It was very important to start feeling angry, because this helplessness comes from, or when you feel helpless, you kind of feel like you can't move and you can't do anything, and obviously that's what helpless means. But when you start feeling angry, it's much easier to start taking action, and to actually start changing things and facing things. It's very good for me in that situation. Let me just explain this before I continue talking about whatever. So you want to scramble the egg at first, and then you want the flour to be mixed in very gently and very without any clumps. Just keep whisking it around. The flour will slowly start to mix with the egg. So at some point it will get a little bit clumpy, and it will look like there's too much flour, but you just gotta keep mixing, and it will be fine. It will come together. Yeah, you can do this a little bit. Just try to get everything in there. Once you get to a point where it's just really clumpy and you can't really do anything with the fork anymore, you are gonna switch to your hands and just start kneading it, and it will become a nice little ball of dough. And if it's too dry, you can just add water. If it's too wet, then you can just add a little bit of flour. There's not really much you can do wrong. So yeah, just gonna start kneading this very gently. Or do you have to be gentle? I don't know. Just knead it. Yeah, with the Gatekeeper, it's not really about what I've been just talking about, like family issues and therapy. Is more about feeling angry at music industry people and being disrespected as a woman, which I guess is kind of related to what I've been just talking about, but obviously it's a bit less personal than some of the other songs on the album. The reason I'm explaining all of this anger stuff is because there's a couple of songs on the album, the first phase, that are the tone is anger, and the tone will change throughout the album. It's not gonna stay like that, but the first bit is me being angry. The camera's died. I took my hands after the dough was very clumpy. Then you just take your hands and start kneading it until it is a ball like this, until it's very, very even, very nice ball. It kind of comes back. Can you see this? If you poke it, it should come back. What I was talking about with the album, once you feel angry, it is easier to start taking action, which is an important point, and or was very important for me, because it was just going on for too long. I kind of had the same arguments with my family all over again, and we didn't get anywhere. Didn't help any one of us. So you just kind of had to move forward. And feeling angry helped with that. Just kind of started something. It kind of did start that we had a lot more arguments, and it got worse because I was being angry. That doesn't make things better between two people. But and it is important. This is not true for everyone or every situation. It was true for us because I was just before I was just accepting stuff, and that didn't help me. And yeah, the hope was to start getting angry, showing my boundaries, and then moving on from there. That kind of didn't happen. So that's where the rest of the album will go, and I will talk about that. But yeah, about anger, it was just what it means for the album, and it just happened that I was writing this album at the time. I didn't want to write an album about this. It's just I wrote an album, and this is what was happening in real time, in real life. But yeah, what it means for the album is that the first phase, the first quarter, isn't really balanced, or yeah, it's not a full picture. It's very, very self-centered, and it's not considering the reasons that people have for behaving the way that they do, because everybody's got reasons. It's probably not, nobody was being a dick to me because they wanted to be a dick, but because they, for some reason, didn't know better, or couldn't, there's just something going on in everybody's head. I will talk about this when I'm talking about the rest of the album, because at the end of the album I'm getting to that point where I try to understand people's behavior, because that is also important for not going crazy when you think that somebody's treating you like a dick because they don't love you or you're not worthy. That's obviously not helpful. So you kind of gotta get to a point where you can try to understand, or not understand, but try to just see people's reasons so that you can das von dir trennen. I can't think of a fucking English word for that right now. But it is important to understand at some point that it's not about you, but it's about what's going on in their head. But at that point in the album, and at that point in my life, a couple months ago, I wasn't really focused on that. My therapist we didn't want to focus on other people. We just wanted to get this anger started. So that's what we did. That's what the first phase of the album is about. Before I continue talking, we are gonna put this dough aside. You can just cover it with a bowl, at least for 30 minutes. You can also wrap it in cling foil. Just a bowl does the trick. So because it needs to rest for a bit, and you don't want it to dry out. So just put this on there, let it rest, and then I'll see you in a bit. So while the dough was resting, I cleaned the kitchen a little bit, and I also prepared the other herbs and the stuff for the sauce that we're gonna make. But now we're gonna roll out the dough. I don't know if there's a trick to this or not. What I find is very important is that there's enough flour on the countertop, because once it sticks to the surface, it gets a little bit annoying. So make sure to always have enough flour on the countertop. That's the only thing I'd say. And then you know how to roll out dough. Just do that. It needs to be quite thin, because it will get thicker once you boil the pasta. So yeah, roll it out a little bit thinner than you would think, and that's basically all that's left to do now. Not really, but the rest will be very, very easy, because we're gonna make sage pasta. That means we're just gonna put butter in the pan, sage in there. I'm gonna add some thyme too, because I like it. And then once the pasta's boiled, just put it in there. Let it cuddle up in the pan for a couple minutes, and then it's done. This part is a little bit time consuming, but yeah, I'm gonna halve the dough, because it is a little bit easier if you make smaller portions, because the bigger it is, the more you have to, just don't really know how to explain it, but just half it. It will be a little bit easier. Here I've got the two halves. I'm just gonna make sure not to have this bit exposed, but try to close this up a little bit, because this will stick more, because it's a little bit more wet than the outside now. So just try to squeeze that in. Start rolling. Just gonna do the same with this. I'm just gonna leave this under the bowl again so it doesn't dry out when I'm rolling out the other half. Just gonna put this over here. So yeah, I've started writing Gatekeeper. Actually, like, I can't really remember when that was, but it must be like at least 3 years ago now, maybe even more. And I originally wrote it for, I wanted the Gatekeeper to be the opening track for my album. I think I just wrote the first EP, and I was thinking about, like, when I make an album, this is gonna be the opening track, which it isn't now. But yeah, that was kind of the idea when I made it. I think I wanted it to be like a fucking like big bossy entrance, just be like, which now I think is a little bit cringe. And yeah, I actually didn't want Gatekeeper to be on the album because I thought it was a little bit cringe. I wrote a little bit about that in another post earlier and talked about that, why I'm fine with this now, because I'm fine with it now. And the song is about, I don't know, just like a little bit, like I said, like a little bit of, I'm big girl, Philine and Sonny. They like don't fuck with me kind of vibe. I was younger then. And yeah, I guess I was like, we've just played our first festival summer, and I think a friend of mine showed me this this guy who was like the head of a German label, and he looks fucking awful. He has this really awful face. He apparently is a bit of a dick too, and it was just like a song about this being really annoying. That these kind of people are the ones that decide whether you can work in music or not. I mean, that guy doesn't really decide anything about my music, but in general, like, he's a really big music industry guy. And then I kind of thought about how it's kind of, yeah, a little bit annoying that all these people tell you how to make your songs and they've literally never written a song before. And that's just kind of annoying. This is taking fucking ages to roll out. It is a little bit dry, the dough. Could have been a little wetter, but it's too late now. Yeah, we've been playing Gatekeeper for quite a long time now. I think we didn't play it at the first ever show, but I think we played it at the, oh, did we? I can't remember actually. But it was definitely part of the set in the first year that we've ever done, first festival year. Yeah, I'm gonna roll this out now. If I keep talking, this video will be too long. I'm just gonna roll this out and come back when it's done. It's this thick now. Can you see it? Okay, see ya. Now comes my favorite part. You have to make sure that you put enough flour on the surface of the pasta, because what we're gonna do now is fold this up, just like this. That'll do. And same with that one. Just fold it. And when you've done that, you grab a knife and a cutting board if you have a sensitive surface, of course. And you can just cut it however thick you want them to be. I like them like medium thick, I guess. Just cut them. And this right here is my favorite part. You can do this. I love it every time. But yeah, now you've got strips of pasta. Put this aside and do the rest. beautiful. So fresh pasta doesn't need to boil for that long. I think like 2 to 3 minutes is enough. So gotta be quick with that, and that means that while the pasta is boiling, I'm gonna put it in the pot and start the pan. Put some butter in there, some sage, thyme, and then I guess when the pasta's in, I'm gonna season it with salt and pepper, and we have some Parmesan in the fridge, and that will be it. Yeah, let me move the cameras over there, and then let's boil it. Let's boil it. Okay, let me put some salt in the water. Make sure to put enough in. Don't be careful with it. Start the pan. Before I put the pasta in, I'm going to start with the pan because the pasta is going to be so quick, and if you leave it in for too long, it's just going to get yeah, it's nice when it's al dente. You can chew on it. Let me get a knife. That's what we do. All right. We want the batter to also form the sauce. At least that's how I think it works. I'm not really sure. We've got our sage here. Some nice sage salt that I'm gonna use for when it's on the plate. Some thyme, we're just also gonna put in the butter. And that's it. In goes the pasta. Make sure that it doesn't stick together, because sometimes it likes to do that. So just stir it around a little bit when it's in. It only needs a couple minutes. I'll just throw it in. I'm not sure if that's the most correct way to do it. Just throw it in. Same with the thyme. Just put the whole thing in. Okay, this is a bit too low. I'm just gonna switch pans. Switch spots here. Go to the big one. Because there's nothing happening there. Here's the part of the. Is it pasta? It is almost done. The pasta's almost done. I think it might be done. I'm just gonna let this go for a little bit longer. So the camera died before I started cooking the pasta and doing all of this, but it's done now. It looks really nice. Just make sure to add enough butter and enough pasta water, and then you get this nice sauce. Yeah, it smells really good. Just get some plates and then we eat it. Could have been nicer. I'll top it off with some Parmesan and we're done.